of the cans, but a lot of places sell it for more.
They still charge like $1.40.
Everyone's like in an outrage.
Hey, Dan.
Hey. For those that are joining us, I am GM Dan at Friyay Forge. I'm a part of the Gamersledge gaming group, and we are running a 5e live play that is called Laughing Corpses. It will end up being a bunch of other things, but at the moment we're doing one-shots, background one-shots, for each of the players, 8 players, where we get to see into kind of what makes them who they are, and a little bit of background so that the players can get a feel for who they're playing as well. If you haven't seen any of our previous there's a nuggies. Previous episodes, they are on YouTube on Gamersledge, and also on Gamersledge's Twitch. You can also catch some small bits of them here and there on TikTok. So, I'm going to go ahead and flip to the players, and we will. I said I wasn't going to do that part, but I am going to do that part, and of course, that's not working. That would be the way of it. I need you, and I need you to refresh. No? Yeah. Give me 1 second. I'm going to go with you and delete. And then add. Yay, tech.
Woo!
Why are you doing this, man? Yeah, okay. Not that. That. And then, and boom. And there. And there. Okay. That should be good, right? All right. So we're gonna go ahead and start with Megan in the top right, and go ahead and introduce yourself. Hi, everybody. Go ahead and introduce yourself and kind of what your character concept is going to be. We haven't seen this character yet, so go ahead and do that, and then we will go around clockwise, with Tyler being the last.
Okay. So my name's Megan, and I'm going to be playing a pixie sorcerer named Una.
Awesome.
I am the Crow Dad on Twitch, aka Travis. I'm playing Keck, the Thrycreen Barbarian. Barbarian, no, fighter. What am I saying?
He's having an identity crisis.
Yeah.
They both throw hands, though, so.
I'm Jim. I'm playing Sibo Bottle Pop, the Goblin Alchemist.
Okay. Next up, we'll go to Justin.
Okay. I'm Justin. I'm going to be playing Ramos, the Warforged Ranger.
Go ahead, Andres.
I'm Andres. I'll be playing Lundy, the Haringen cult.
Mark.
And
sorry, real quick. I'm gonna jump in front of you real quick. Mark is not gonna be able to be here tonight, but he is playing new Human Chef. It's a class that we found online, and it looks super interesting. And Naomi in the bottom left is going to be playing a Tiefling Bard. And did you have a name? Huh? Prudence. A Tiefling Bard named Prudence. So we are super stoked to see the rest of these characters in action. And tonight we are going to be focusing on.
I am Tyler, and I'm going to be playing a monk, bugbear named Kuruk.
Yes, indeedy, and it is that backstory that we're going to be working on tonight. So the way these have been playing out, we have a slightly different feel for how each of these backstories have been portrayed, partially because they're very different backstories. And this one is no different. So, as we progress, we will move into Tales from the Forge. Karuk. How did you want that pronounced? Is it Karuk?
I say Kuruk.
Karuk.
Kuruk. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not opposed to whatever you guys feel like pronouncing it, though. So.
So, just for those out there that may not know kind of what makes a bugbear different, he is a member of a group of races called goblinoids, and the most prominent of those are the goblins. They are, while the goblins are small, have long ears, usually have long noses, head shape can vary. They're one of the green skin race groups with orcs and the like. Another part would be hobgoblins, which are like more human-sized version of goblins, but they start having tufts of hair and darker skin, and they're more militaristic versions of the goblinoid set of species. The bugbear is like if you took a normal human guy out of IT and had him stand like just off by himself, and then you went to like the WWE and got like Hulk Hogan or some of these like bigger guys that just don't look like they should be sat next to a guy in IT, and you set him next to it. So the guy in IT would be like an orc or hobgoblin, and we're talking Andre the Giant size difference, usually. That being the case, not necessarily the body mass, because bugbears, as I'm sure you'll find out, have very long limbs. They tend to be more athletically built, and they have some capability of actually squeezing into and out of smaller spaces because they can kind of fold their bodies in that way. So it's they have that nightmarish-like quality of being able to get into your house with only a doggy door available. And they're also covered in fur. So they have the same pointy ears, but they have a lot of fur, sharp teeth, and they're more rare than the goblins. So usually in large goblin tribes or hobgoblin tribes, you only find one or two. The reason I'm going over this is because I was hit with a question the other day about the Thread Crane, and it made me realize many of you have chosen races that many people don't see very often. Bugbear is one of those that became more readily available in one of the books that came out recently, Monsters of the Multiverse. And so it's one of those that I don't think most people have seen this side of. So it will be interesting to have a player from this side that is playing one. So we start in black and white. All details in stark contrast, sharp, as a swarm of small fighters goblins are moving through tall grasses, like wheat, but not farmed, just wild, growing out in the plains. Above it, you can see cuts in the wheat where this swarm has kind of made its own paths. Just nose and eyes above the wheat, you see the hobgoblins, who end up being the sergeants and officers of this army. Not really, but they do carry themselves with more military might. Amongst them, you have actual strategists. Not that the diminutive goblins, short of you, Sibo, sorry, would listen to those orders, but the hobgoblins tend to try to put things where it will gain the best benefit. Behind them, and off to the side, up to just below chest, are a handful of bugbears that are kind of pushing through the wheat as if it were water. There is no hiding for them. Many of them carry large clubs on their back, a couple with strange rusted blades, but for the most part, the handful that are there carry themselves as brutes. They're there as muscle. The wind is whipping through, and that's some of the only sounds besides the threshing of the wheat against itself and against these bodies pushing through it. And in the distance, the target of these peoples is a small town. Maybe 15, 20 buildings. Humans out doing human things and living human lives. Mostly farmers, it would look like, with the way that they're dressed and the implements and tools they have aside. A couple horses, but only a handful. And we move from the wind and the sound of this, these grasses moving against each other, to a light music. It is low tempo, but deep, and this is where I wish I had it so I could play it in the background, but I couldn't get it to work with XSplit. And things go quiet, so you don't hear the obvious screaming people, you don't hear them calling to arms, you don't hear the cries of the goblins as they jump out from the grasses, moving to raid this small town. The hobgoblins after them, reaching for their bows and blades, and the bugbears charging in behind. As violence ensues, as the goblins and hobgoblins and bugbears are taking resources, food, tools, weapons from these farmers, as the violence ensues, the camera's cutting away, so it's just out of sight. But the only color is occasional blood splash that hits a wall, as they are making their way in a bloody stripe through the town. Laden with gear and more, they continue to move out of the town, and we zoom back to see this path that they're walking is a short one. There has been a nomadic settlement that has popped up. Each of the, I'm going to say tents, but it's very rough in term, look like mushrooms amongst a whole bunch of tall grasses and sparse trees. Areas around it have been stomped flat, and you can see a handful of cooking fires and other young people and elders mixed amongst the group that's coming back with food and tools and weapons. The color starts to shift so that things slowly go into sepia tones, and we see one of the larger of the bugbears. He's probably a young teenager, but is still large compared to some of the others. Maybe a couple of the bugbear elders are larger, but not by much. Karuk, you have just gotten back from a successful raid. There is food that has been stewing and made available, and some of the others are boasting about the amount of resources you're bringing back. Can I get a volunteer? It's just for RP. It's not going to be for any rolling, and you're going to be a hobgoblin friend.
I'm down.
Okay, so Justin, you're going to be a hobgoblin named. I had it written down. 1 second. I take so many notes and then I don't mark them, and I really should. Where are you? Sorry, 1 second. You are going to be Verralk.
Verralk.
Verralk. Verralk. With
Okay.
a K. You're a hobgoblin. Young for hobgoblin, but you were one of those in the raid that just came back. So as you guys approach and people are kind of happy to see your return and how many resources you brought back, Karuk, what are your thoughts as to the raid and as you're coming back to the small nomadic town?
So initially, you said food was available, so immediately gonna go see how everybody is doing, how they're thinking about like all the resources that we got, but also eating food.
Veronk, you're there also. You and Karuk have been spending a bit of time together on these raids, trying to. You're kind of trying to make a name for yourself amongst the tribe, but not like power hungry wise, more like trying to glad hand and make friends with people, right? Because this is a community. So that's more of like the avenue you've been taking, specifically with Karuk, as he's another young bugbear that will probably do great things for the tribe, right? So you both make your way over to a fairly large stew pot. It is the variety of brown that is always cooking, and you just add stuff to. So, what are your thoughts on the raid?
So I think we made out pretty well this time around, and I'm happy to see how things can improve our quality of life for everybody here based off of the resources we were able to kind of get from the village. What do you think about how we did strategically? Do you think we kind of pulled off everything that we were trying to do there? I just wanted to kind of get your feedback on what your thoughts are on the raid as well, as I feel like we did pretty well.
I'm just happy we got food first. Let's eat.
Here's to that.
There's too much to go through. I can't wait to go through all the spoils.
You see that some of the goblins, especially, brought back small trophies, and they didn't. Most of the large carrying was done by larger folk, but their the goblin parts of this area kind of live in the outskirts of the main town, and you can hear them talking about swabbling and agreeing and chatting. They tend to be some of the more loud of the different people types here. The town itself doesn't really have a name. When it's time to move on, you pack up and move down the road to another area that may be more fruitful. As of yet, yours is one of the only hobgoblin, or one of the only goblinoid malls, like small towns, that hasn't been wiped out by the Knights of Evermeet. And part of that's probably because you stay on the move. But you can hear from where you guys are eating your bowls of brown, which is, it's okay today. It's not the best, but it's okay today. You can hear the goblins chatting about when they think you'll be moving on.
I know we have to leave soon, but I kind of like it here.
Right? I feel like this town, that we've built up right next to plentiful resources will do well, I feel. It is a shame we're going to have to leave soon.
Why not stay as long as we can keep getting good stuff like this? We're eating good. Plenty of treasure to go through.
Yeah, I mean, the brown that we have today is a really good shade, so
I've had better, but I'll take it.
They can't all be as good.
Shiny. Let's see. I want to go see what we found.
Let's go check it out.
You guys finish eating, and you start moving back to where the piles of other goods have been dropped off. And you can see that there's a handful of tools, handful of weapons, some bedding, some good hides. But one of the things that was brought back that kind of surprised both of you were the horses. It is rare for horses to be in this group. If they're not eaten because they were wounded or whatever, it's just very, very rare. And so you can see that there is a corral kind of hastily being built with other gear and parts of other tents because they want to try to keep the horses together. But there's a large group that are oohing and awing over these large farm beasts, obviously meant to carry large weight, till fields. They're very kind of large, strong animals that aren't seen all the time. At least that aren't seen alive. And you walk over that way and you see that they're skittish, but they're taking to their new area a lot better than probably expected.
Is it awful that one of my first inclinations is to try and ride the horse around the encampment? Because that sounds like fun.
Love you, bud. There is one of the horses that you think might actually would maybe even be able to carry your weight. It's a large monster of a horse that seems to bite at other goblinoids that come up near it. But being that you've never tried to ride the horse before, you're not entirely sure how that would go.
Right. I was going to ask and see if it is something that I've seen before. Being as we're constantly on the move, I feel like I might have seen, but
you've definitely seen horses,
Mhm.
and you may have even been up near them, but you have a different smell than the other goblins. More of a musky smell, and you know that most animals, especially like ones that have been domesticated, do not work well with what you're putting off.
That's fair.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's just
Mhm. I'm
Maybe
thinking
they smell a predator. Might be
Yeah.
what it is.
that's fair. I want to try it anyway.
Okay. So if you want to make the attempt,
Mhm.
that would be a survival check.
Oh, here we go. All right. That would be, we're doing D20 plus survival.
Yes.
All right.
As I see you run off towards the horses, I say, "Be careful!"
I got this.
You are
I rolled
pushing. Go ahead.
I rolled a 19.
Oh shoot. You're like pushing aside people, like wading through them, and they're all smaller than you as you get